So here's my review of Metal Gear Solid 1. Mainly reviewing the PlayStation 1 version that I played, but I know the PC port is also pretty good, just to reference that one. Um, this is kind of a mixed view by some people. I think in terms of a stealth sneaking game, it's pretty fun. For example, you can kind of play it in two ways. You can sort of play it on hard mode, which in a sense remove radar, so you have to look around to see if there's enemies, or you can just play it with a radar, which makes the game more easier. And in terms of what way you want to immerse yourself in a stealth section of trying to not be detected by enemies and trying to get through the game without alerting enemies, and that's basically the gameplay in the sense. There's also you can also kind of mess around with codex conversations, or where you can interact with the game, where you can get kind of a response, or fool around basically. So there's lots of options in game in terms of the gameplay in itself. So yeah, there's lots of cool stuff in this game. I think it's very addicting because it's very engaging to kind of just play around in this stealth world and do this type of stuff. And if you buy the special missions, or virtual, what's it called in USA again? Virtual missions, I think it's called. Then you can actually play in terms of practice mode of just mess around with the gameplay of weapons and training, and yeah, it's more like an expansion pack on the original Metal Gear Solid 1 game. But the game itself, I think, is very good. The criticism, at least from some people, is some people kind of blame Metal Gear Solid 1 for kind of being the game that kind of, in a sense, enforced cinematic gameplay. As in, you have to have a story, you have to have some certain narrative. I don't think it was the first to do that, though. I mean, some can say that Ninja Gaiden on Nintendo. I haven't played that game, but that one is said to be very cinematic. So I don't think Metal Gear Solid 1 was sort of the first one, but I guess it's kind of blamed for popularizing it. In the same way that Shrek 2001 movie, in a sense, popularized CGI or 3D movies, and that kind of killed 2D animation. So basically, Metal Gear Solid is sort of essentially blamed for popularizing, having some form of narrative, and essentially people kind of think that's essentially killed gameplay, fun gameplay over actual. Basically, people think that it killed fun gameplay in favor of actual cinematics and story, and I guess I can kind of see that. I don't think that's an invalid criticism. But for its time, it was not a bad game. But yeah, I can kind of see in retrospective to why that may have been a bad idea in terms of future gaming. That people would rather shift away from actual fun gameplay over cinematics. I think it's a game turns bad if you can't interact, in a sense of if you can't interact with the game when the cutscene is over, at least in terms of game design, then I think it's a bad game. I think, for example, Naughty Dog games from PlayStation 3 era is a pure example of how stale and boring games can be. I mean, I remember I actually had Uncharted 1 on PS4, and I played it for 30 minutes, and I think I got so bored by it because all you essentially did was just run for 30 minutes or something with a guy you just talked to, and nothing happened. There was nothing to interact with, there was nothing to do. It was, yeah, it just wasted my time, and I definitely can see why people may blame Metal Gear Solid 1 for that. I can see that in retrospect. I can understand that, but the thing is, it doesn't really take away from the gameplay. That's the thing. Is if it was doing that, then I would say that, yeah, I can see why it's bad, but it doesn't, in my view at least. But yeah, I can sort of see the criticism of what this game may have unleashed, and I definitely see that as a bad thing. I definitely do. But if I were to give this game at least a rating for the quality and what I think of it, I would say a 10 out of 10. I mean, I think it's a very good game. It's very gritty in atmosphere. It's very cool. I mean, maybe 10 out of 10 is a little bit too high, maybe. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. I think that's fair enough. I mean, I guess there's yeah, now that I think about it, there's also some plot hole with the story. And if you haven't played the game, then spoilers. This is a spoiler, so if you are spoiled, then it's your fault. So I'm gonna spoil something here, and I'm gonna tell. There's one plot hole with the story of this game. So if your idea of in a sense getting the PAL keys and activating Metal Gear, the big boss at the end, um, why do they feel like having regular bosses fight you if that's the plan? I mean, is there some kind of suicide note that okay, our life is meaningless. Let's just die. I mean, that makes no sense. I mean, why would you do that if the idea is to get the guy to kind of insert the PAL keys and activate the Metal Gear, which they need him for that because they can't find a way to activate it as a part of use that leverage to kind of make their demands as a terrorist group. And that part made no sense to me when I think about it. I mean, that's just kind of weird in terms of plot story of there's lots of dramatic elements of that, and then you just when you think about it, it makes actually no sense to why they actually need bosses to fight you in terms of the plot, because you can't just kind of. I mean, I can understand why they wouldn't tell regular soldiers, because I guess you kind of have to make it real, but people who are on top, I mean, they know about this, so why would they actually just do it? I mean, unless you can argue that maybe they never told them or something. I mean, that may be an argument, but I don't know. Maybe they maybe they don't tell them everything, but I don't know. I just thought that was a little bit interesting plot discussion at least. I mean, I guess Ocelot is at least the one that Liquid Snake talks to about it at least. But yeah, I kind of do wonder about it, whether that is a pottle or not. But yeah, it kind of makes me think a little bit on that one. But yeah, I would say a 7 out of 10 is my review for Metal Gear Solid 1. It's not a bad game. I think it's pretty good for its time, and I think it holds up. But yeah, I can understand the criticism though. But yeah, it was kind of cool to revisit this game and play it. Yeah, so thank you for listening, and bye.